sure enough, there is no, it looks like she's still alive. There's no way to tell what happened. So either they balled her, I don't know. Damn. Nothing like causing your own problems. All right, hey, good morning, everybody. So here it is, Saturday, July 19th, right at 9:30 in the morning. Temperature's 87 degrees, humidity is 71%, and the heat index is 98 degrees already. So this trip's gonna be pretty quick to the bee yard. Two things I wanna do. First one, get into hive number 16/4/2. Anyway, the hive that I combined number 4 with, which was 16's queen, get that queen uncaged, condense the hive boxes as much as possible. And then the second thought I had this morning was number 2 has an empty deep with a medium. I explained the intent there a few days ago. Get into them today, and hive number 24 right next to it is the only colony that has a shallow box on top. So I plan on using number 2's medium, move that onto 24, move 24's shallow frames into the medium, and at least get that a little more complete, because if my memory's right, 24 had maybe 5 shallow frames, and then number 2 had almost a full box. So between the two, I can make one full box with 10 frames. Yes, it'll be a combination between shallows and mediums. I've done it before. In fact, I have a few hives out there right now that have 1 or 2 shallows. That is a seasonal goal, is to get all the dang shallow frames out of the medium boxes. I was in a pinch a few months ago, maybe last year, and it is what it is. So again, get into number 16, release the queen, consolidate the boxes, condense them a little bit to the less space possible, because they don't need a ton of space. And then get number 24 situated with number 2's top box. Sounds easy. My goal is really to be in the yard less than an hour, because I got a few other things I need to do around the house today. And again, it's Saturday, meaning I only have today and tomorrow before the work week starts all over again. All right, let's get to it. All right, let's see how things are looking before we get started. And as y'all know, I am usually not out in the bees this early. Some really nice flight activity over there. Let's go check that out. Yeah, I'm usually not out here this early, but again, I have some things around the house I need to do. Therefore, I got out here early to take care of this before too many days goes by. All right, let's see. So that's the one I'm referring to. That's a completely empty deep, or I'm sorry, over here, the single medium. So I'm just gonna take the single medium, move it on top, number 24 in the second position, and call it a day. 16, obviously the mega hive, and that's pretty cool. Some bees are using the entrance up there. So we'll get that all situated here in a second. This is very interesting to me. Could just be a lot of orientation flights. I cannot remember right now if that colony had a lot of brood. It's possible. A lot of brood that was about to hatch out, but nothing that looks too swarmy. Speaking of, let's go just check the traps real quick. All right, no activity and no activity. Big surprise. All right, again, let's get into 16, get that situated, and then I'll finish with old number 2, using that medium box to give number 24 a little extra space with medium frames, and then using 24's established shallow frames in a medium box. All right, here we go. let's get into this one and kind of figure out what they got going on. So my real concern or focus, as I said a few times probably by now, is to release the queen. And this is kind of interesting. It's been a few days, but maybe because of the other entrance provided with the second inner cover. As you can see, they didn't chew through the newspaper at all. So I'm just gonna try and preserve that a little bit. So this should be, this is number 16's box, right? Yes. Because put the cue right there, so the queen cage is on this side. I'm just going to pull a few frames, give myself some space to work, and then I'll show you the frame with the queen cage. All right, so this is very interesting to me. Looking down into this box, they haven't chewed through this paper much at all. I can see the queen. Uh-oh. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Look at this. What a dummy. I did not even consider that. So either the bees, yeah, check it out, ready? Damn, she is not in there. Okay, so there's that. And then check this out. If you can see that, they chewed a very small hole in between the newspaper that separates 16 from number 4. All right. I don't want to say this was a fail, but this definitely didn't go how I thought it was going to go. So now I need to conduct a full inspection of this box in an effort to find number 16's queen. Hopefully she's still in this box, and then I'll just kind of figure out a plan once I locate her. Well, that wasn't difficult. Found her on the very next frame. And of course, as you can see, of course, the one time a queen clip doesn't want to work is when I need it to work, which is right now. All right, where's she at? Yep. All right, she's caged again. Yeah, check it out. I grabbed this queen clip. First time ever. Can't get it to open, so I'll look at that later. But yeah, let me kind of figure out what I want to do with these two, and then I'll show you whatever plan number 2 is. So again, it's Saturday. I'm thinking I might just put the 2 deeps on top of each other, consolidate the queen into one deep, just so I know where she is. So I'll have to grab another queen excluder, and yeah, maybe go from there. I'll get back with you, because obviously I don't really know what I want to do right now. All right, this is what I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to use this again. I grabbed frame 1, 2, 3, 4. Frame 4 has more uniform comb, as you can see. That other choice was, I guess, probably just a bad choice for me. But before I drop the queen on this frame and use this push cage again, I'm gonna test it over here first. Yep, that looks like where I went wrong. I went wrong in the sense of I just chose a bad location, because that looks like it's completely sealed up. Okay, you live and you learn, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the queen on this frame. I'm gonna try and drop her right here and cage her, because these cells have a lot of food, so she'll be good. And then I guess come out here tomorrow and get her released. But then I'm gonna put this deep box, which was 16's original, directly on top of number 4, and put some newspaper between the boxes just to give them time to get used to each other. Come out here tomorrow, release the queen if she hasn't released herself, and call it a day. All right, let's try this again, right? There she goes. And yes, okay. She's in there. That was pretty easy. If you couldn't tell, I wasn't very comfortable because I was doing that with my left hand. All right, so she's caged. I'll mark the top bar again. And like I said, once I get the frame into the box, I'm gonna put that deep directly on top of number 4's. Add some newspaper between them all, even though they have chewed a very small hole between 4's original configuration and this one, but I thought more would be gone by now. Either way, how appropriate to use this news article from a few months ago. Okay, a few things to do. Today obviously did not go as planned, but if you keep bees, you know that's just how things go. This is what I was trying to explain. So number 4's original box still has the queen excluder. Newspaper, sure, it has a few small holes, which is fine. Add number 16's original box on top of this one. I'm gonna grab another queen excluder to put on top of 16, just in case I come out here tomorrow and the bees have chewed some wax and freed her. At least at that point, I will know she's in the box that I just showed you. Add some more newspaper on top of that one, on top of the other queen excluder, and then add the 2 medium boxes just so all the bees can get to know each other. All right, next queen excluder. Let's grab this newspaper. Yeah, check it out. I don't know if you can see that. It's another beekeeper in the area, local to here. And I'm actually featured in this article too. I just didn't have time. I couldn't get away from work to meet the reporter over at the house to get her into the bees. All right, that box is pretty light, but still has some bees in it. And then my other thought is this configuration will now have only one inner cover, which should help. Yeah, which should help the bees work through the boxes and chew through the newspaper. And the reason I say that is because the configuration I had originally had multiple inner covers, and one of the inner covers was between 2 of the boxes, maybe the mediums or the medium and the deep. And walking in front of the hives before I got started, if y'all didn't notice, some of the bees were using that as an entrance. I think I pointed that out, but all right, nonetheless, I'm gonna leave them as such until tomorrow. Like I've said a few times, probably come out and release the queen. Then I think I'm just gonna keep her consolidated to the original 16 box, which is this one here, the markers on the front, for a few days, and then remove the queen excluder that's between the 2 deeps, and then she'll have plenty of room to start laying. All right, let me finish up today by going down to number 2 and number 24. Like I said a few times, I'll show you some clips of that. Really not much to do other than just move some boxes around and some frames, but that'll be it for today, and off to do other chores around the house. All right, down here where number 2 was, I'm more curious than anything. Yeah, I mean, it's like a decent amount of bees. All right, let's get 24 opened up. do the thing I've said a few times, and then that'll be it for today. Dang, they built even more comb in the last few days, so they're getting nectar from somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So they have six shallow frames. One has a queen cell, so I just have to keep that in mind and be careful of that. So they need 4. So I'm just going to remove 1, 2. These frames have nothing going on, so that'd be silly. Yeah, that's kind of the best I can do for them. This one has some drawn wax, so I'll put that in the middle, or close to the middle. Same with this one. Just put that one on the outside, and then yeah, I'm just gonna move the 4 or the 5 shallow frames from the shallow box into this one. The sun is coming through the trees at such an angle that it is difficult. Okay. They might have a queen running around. That's the queen cell that I marked just the other day, so it looks like it's either hatched out or chewed out. One or the other. And then, like usual, whenever I combine boxes or anything, there's always going to be some bees in the original box. But getting them transferred is pretty easy. All right, that's it. That's all there is to it. All right, that does it for me. Pretty easy Saturday. As y'all saw, sometimes things don't go as planned, but that's also to be expected occasionally. So again, I'll get out here to whatever I'm gonna call this, probably 16, since that's their original queen, or that's the queen now for that one. So I'll get out here tomorrow, do all the things I said I was going to do today, and then number 2 is long gone, so I need to get in Hive Tracks and either archive it or delete it. And now 24 has a proper medium box with the same 5 shallow frames y'all saw, and 5 medium frames. 2 had some wax. So if they do have a queen in there, she has some extra room to lay now. Speaking of, if you use Hive Tracks and you just happen to be watching this video, I'm curious, let me know, and this isn't like clickbait so you leave comments, I'm genuinely curious. Let me know if you archive your hives for whatever reason, and for whatever reason, or if you end up deleting them because there's no real need to keep them. So I've archived a few and they still pop up in my view. I actually just, when you can reorder however your bee yard's configured, I just move them all the way to the end. But honestly, I don't know the point of archiving them other than having a record to go back and look at previous colonies throughout the year. I'm leaning towards deleting them, but yeah, leave a comment with whatever you do and why you do it, and I'd like to engage with y'all on that. So hopefully you see this part of the video and you just happen to use Hive Tracks as well. So all right, I will keep an eye out on comments, but for now, that is all she wrote. All right, good morning, everybody. So here it is, Sunday, July 20th, just about 8:30, and I am heading down to Holly Ridge to participate in the second open air market. So this is something new they started for this year, and I registered as a vendor after the deadline for the first market, which was a month ago. That's the other thing, unlike Onslow County, they're only doing theirs once a month, which is on the third Sunday of every month. So even though I missed the first one, here I am heading to the second one, and I signed up for each month between, well, now through I think November or December. The only drawback, and I understand it's new to Holly Ridge, which is great that they're trying new things. The only drawback in comparison to Onslow counties is, well, one, once a month, and then two, you're notified a week in advance if they're gonna have you as a vendor that week. So Onslow County, you can sign up for every single Saturday for the entire season, to include a few special events they do. Granted, you do pay, so that is one of the things that Holly Ridge does have going for them. This is absolutely free and no cost to the vendors. So Onslow County, you pay. It's not much. It really depends on your booth location. But on the flip side, it's kind of like pay to play. So with Onslow County, if you pay, you definitely have a spot. Either way, not to compare the two, but yeah, first time ever trying the markets and having a nice surplus of honey to sell. I figured it was a good opportunity to get out there and try to sell some honey with a little bit of extra time that I have. Worst / best case scenario is I get my name out there a little more than it already is. So, all right, anyway, it's about a 20-minute drive down to their community center. I'll try to remember to show a few clips throughout the morning. Their event runs 10 to 2, which is a little nicer. Onslow County is 8 to 12. I only say it's a little nicer because I am not a morning person. So to leave the house around 8:30 to 9:30 is their setup time. Get down there about 9. It takes me less than 10 minutes to get everything set up. And then 10 to 2 is their market. So, and it's on a Sunday, which is, you know, it's not bad. I don't know this, but I think they chose Sunday, or I would at least imagine they chose Sunday, because other markets in the area, again, like Onslow County's, is on a Saturday, so they would have just like competing priorities with vendors choosing which market to go to. Okay, that's it for now. I'll try to show you a few clips, even though I said I was going to with Onslow Counties about 2 weeks ago and totally forgot. So I'll try to be better at that. I'll show a few clips from the morning and just throughout the afternoon. All right, it's about 9:15. I got down here maybe about 8:50 or so. Got all set up in maybe 10-15 minutes. This thing starts at 10 o'clock over here at the Holly Ridge Community Center. Not a bad turnout. Quite a few vendors. Turned out to be a kind of show up and pick your location type deal. Had to do a little improvising with my banner, but got that all figured out. I think it looks halfway decent and professional. So yeah, now it's just a matter of hanging out, and hopefully it's a pretty good crowd. Here's the building for future reference. So yeah, if you're in or around the Onslow County area, driving down 17 to Holly Ridge, third Sunday of the month, swing on by, show some local folks some support. And yeah, I'll just show you a few clips of inside before it gets going, and then just throughout the morning. All right, welcome back everybody. So it's still July 20th. It's about 6 p.m., 96 degrees, 58% humidity, and 113 is the heat index. So I'm just gonna get out into the yard to get into 16 again, which is now in number 4's position, to hopefully release the queen. Last time, as y'all saw, I did not do a good job of caging her with one of those push cages. This time, I think I did a better job, or I hope so, because I managed to get her caged in an area of complete comb, if you want to call it that. To touch on the Holly Ridge open air market, it was a really good time. Pretty nice setup, nice venue, and the hours between 10 to 2, especially on a Sunday with the churchgoers in the local area, it didn't really seem to affect much. I mean, granted, this was my first time, but yeah, there was a decent amount of people that showed up. So if you are watching this video, the 3rd Sunday of each month up until, I think, November, you can find me at the Holly Ridge Community Center, which is 404 Sound Road in Holly Ridge, from 10 to 2, selling some honey. All right, let's get out into the yard. I'm already starting to sweat because it is hot. Let's get number 16's queen released, and then I'll check on her probably, if I don't check on her this week, I was gonna say in 2 or 3 days, so maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm definitely gonna make it a point to get into that hive this weekend to check on her just to see they accepted her and everything's going fine. And then speaking of this weekend, I have a handful of supers I need to pull, which will be my summer honey harvest. And I may have said it earlier in this video, but that's the first for us. Extremely fortunate, very lucky, very blessed to have the crop, the honey crop that we've received this year. All right, enough yapping, let's get to it and let's get out of this heat. I know this may not come up on camera just yet, but this is the loudest I've heard the yard since springtime when they're in the middle of a flow. Hopefully y'all can hear this. Naturally, let's walk around and take a look to see if we can determine what's going on. I don't know. That looks like orientation flights. Mildly concerning. Number 16, the mega stack, as you can see. And okay, hopefully just some decent orientation flights. Yeah, they're definitely more loud than they have been. All right, I'm just gonna let the camera roll as I go through this colony again, and eventually I'll leave them alone and just let them do their thing. Let's see how much newspaper. Not as much as you would think, but maybe there's just no need to. Besides what I just caused, which is over here. They kind of have the same hole in the middle. I think we're done with the newspaper. Get this out of the way. Get this queen excluder off so we can get down into 16's original deep. I'm gonna pull a few frames on the outside first, just to give myself some space to work. All right. Hopefully she's still in the cage. I honestly, I was gonna say I don't see why she wouldn't be, but As y'all know or may not know, this is the first time I've messed with these cages, and that's why I said she may or may not be in there, because as I pulled those two frames apart, it pulled the cage off of the frame it was stuck into. I don't see her on either frame, so now I need to go through the entire colony, and I have a queen excluder below this box. So let me get this put back. Let me just check to see if she's here, which does not look like she is. All right. And the bees from the bottom box have chewed through the newspaper. So let me, stay tuned, because I need to go through this entire colony now to try and find her. Since one of two things: either she took off as soon as I pulled the frame apart, which pulled the queen cage off of the comb or out of the comb, or she's been loose for a while now and I'm just realizing it. So yeah, I just need to go through this box, which shouldn't take too long. I'm going to turn the camera off here in a second, just so it's not too long of a clip, and then as soon as I find her, I'll be sure to show that to y'all. Well, I just went through the box twice, and I got the thought to remove the box to take a look at the newspaper that's sitting on top a queen excluder, and my eyes were drawn over here, and sure enough, there is no, it looks like she's still alive. There's no way to tell what happened. So either they balled her, I don't know. Damn. Nothing like causing your own problems. So what to do now, right? Excellent question. I'm gonna put them back together for now. Mark them with a brick to indicate they're queenless. I'm confident they have enough eggs throughout to make another queen, hopefully. Man, that is disappointing. But yeah, I'm just gonna put them back together, get back out here this weekend, so stay tuned for that. Definitely not what you want to find when you're trying to combine a hive with a known queen right hive with a queenless hive to make things better, and then you end up causing some kind of problem that leads to a perfectly healthy queen getting killed. All right, stay tuned, and most likely the next portion of this video will be from the upcoming weekend. All right, hey, here it is, Wednesday, July 23rd, right at 4 p.m. Temperature is 91 degrees, humidity is 60%, and the heat index is 104. I'm just making a quick trip out to the yard just to see how things are going. Hopefully I don't discover anything that I would consider a surprise. So let's get out there, see how they're looking for a late July hot afternoon. All right, well, from this angle, nothing looks or sounds out of the ordinary. You know what's coming next. Let's walk around and take a quick look at the entrances, and then I'll talk to y'all about a few things coming up this weekend. Okay. This side of the yard seems pretty calm. This side of the yard seems pretty busy again. Still need to figure something out with this one. But yeah, check this out down here. Seem awfully busy. Maybe that's just a whole bunch of new bees that have emerged in the last few days. Quick check of the swarm traps, which I'm not really expecting a lot, and yeah, sure enough, they don't disappoint. Swarm season's been real odd this year. But yeah, this weekend I'm gonna give the Onslow County Farmers Market another go. 2 weeks ago was the first time. Forgot to share any clips of that, so I'm gonna try to remember to do that this time around. As y'all saw, last weekend was my first time at the Holly Ridge Open Air Market, also successful. And talking to a few folks there, I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but they let me know that Topsail Island Brewing does a market every Sunday. Also, no cost like Holly Ridge. So that's the plan this weekend. I don't have anything to do with the bees since I just got into them all this past weekend. So this upcoming weekend is going to be nothing but some time at some markets, sell some honey, get my name out there, and overall just have a good time. All right, good morning everybody. So here it is, Saturday, July 26th, just about 7:30, and I am heading back over to the Onslow County Farmers Market. So this will be the second time. I will try to remember to share some clips with y'all from this time around. So I'm giving it a go again, right, for the second time, because of what the gentleman next to me said from 2 weeks ago, which was my first time. And that was for that day to be pretty slow. So I'm curious and hopeful what a busy day looks like, and hopefully that's today, right? So I'll be there in just a matter of minutes. Again, it's about 7:30. The market opens at 8. It runs from 8 to 12, so gives me the better part of maybe 20 minutes by the time I get there to get set up. And my setup takes maybe half of that time, maybe 15 minutes tops, which is kind of nice. It's not a very complicated setup, and that is intentional because I didn't want to have to contribute a lot of time during each market to set up and tear down. So anyway, I'll be there in a few minutes. I'll share a few clips with y'all, show my setup, and hopefully it's a good day at the Onslow County Farmers Market. All right, as promised, check it out. All right, well, not really much to share with the farmers market. So it's just after 12. My setup and teardown takes about 10 minutes, which I am not complaining. Again, just like last time, the first time, met a bunch of nice people from the area and a few folks that are not from the area that are down here visiting family that happens to be active duty. So sold some honey, met some folks, got my name out there a little more. Overall, I'd say it was a success. All right, stay tuned for whatever the rest of the month looks like. All right, good morning and happy Sunday. So here it is, Sunday, July 27th, right at 9:30, and I am on the way down to Topsail Island Brewing. In fact, I'll be there in about 13 minutes. They open at 11 o'clock, but they allow vendors to start setting up as early as 9, which is nice. First time going down here, first time ever being to the venue. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it is a simple matter of driving up to the spot that I will have today. But yeah, wish me luck. I'll share a few clips if I can. Hopefully it's too busy to do so, but probably not. They're open from 11. Well, they open at 11, and the vendors are there until about 4 o'clock. So 5 hours, 1 hour longer than both Onslow County and Holly Ridge. So that could obviously affect something, sales. And the start time of 11 on a Sunday, considering that's when the brewery opens, but the start time of 11 on a Sunday for another market, I think is the best way to go. And the reason I say that is because the Onslow County Farmers Market is 8 to 12 on a Saturday, but I did not really notice sales picking up until about maybe 10:30-ish. The first 2 hours were extremely slow, so I think that has a lot to do with when the market opens. So yeah, we'll see. It being Sunday, North Carolina, hopefully some people decide to come by after church services, grab a beer, maybe grab a bottle of honey. But yeah, I'll keep y'all posted. I'll share a few clips. It looks like a really cool place, judging by the online pictures. Again, I've never been down here, but it seems like they have a pretty good thing going on. So wish me luck. All right, made it down here, all set up. It's about 10:15. Setup took maybe 30 minutes because I had to set the entire thing up, including, well, meaning the tent, table, a whole nine. Unlike Onslow County and Holly Ridge that provides shelter and a table, this one doesn't, so it is what it is, but it's also at no cost. I share a few clips of all the vendors, and if they have a channel or any socials, I'll try to make it a point to capture that and share it in the description. But it is a hot one, which is to be expected. So here we go. All right, so here I am. Forgot to take any footage of the market. So it's a market, it's not a farmer's market. So that's something to keep in mind. I did not see anybody else who farms anything there with any sort of produce. So I was the only one with honey. A lot of jewelry vendors, which they seem to do pretty well. A few art vendors and some other kind of odds and ends other than produce. So something to keep in mind. I may want to focus on farmers markets because I believe people are more inclined to possibly purchase honey or other produce if they're at a farmer's market, right? I did not do bad. I did just about the same as the past 2 times at Onslow County and the past 1 time at Holly Ridge. So far, this is my 4th market of the year, first time down in Topsail, and coincidentally, I seem to be selling the same amount of honey at each market. Something to note, the lady that was next to me, she's there quite often. She sells art. She did say it was extremely slow, and it was extremely hot. I mean, almost unbearable. Again, the market was 11 to 4, so 5 hours. Granted, I was under a tent, but still, I mean, there was like practically no wind except very short periods of a light breeze, which was very nice, but it was pretty miserable. And it's at a brewery, right? A lot of people stayed inside, which isn't really much of a surprise. So I was telling Jen that the other day, I may want to really consider the weather and take a look at the forecast, not just, if you can't tell, it's raining here. It wasn't raining down in Topsail, so that was cool, but to take a look at the forecast and if it's going to be unbearably hot, if there's like extreme heat advisories, and if the market's outdoors like this one, possibly consider all those factors and use that as a decision point, really, whether to do the market or not. So I will say this much: between Onslow County, it's under a building and they have some fans and everything, and then Holly Ridge inside their building, definitely I did not realize how spoiled I was with those two, because the tent works great. It provides adequate shade. It has like a SPF rating of like 50 or something in the actual canvas top. But again, with it having with there just being no wind today, I mean, it was pretty crummy. And if you can't tell, looking over my shoulder, I wanted to get out of there, so I just kind of threw the tent in the back. I'll fold that thing up later and put it away. But overall, it was a good day. I will make it a point to be better and actually get some more footage of the markets to show the other vendors and kind of what the overall vibe's like. So that's it for me. Another market weekend. Catch y'all next time. All right, here it is, Monday, July 28th, right after 5 o'clock. Temperature is 95 degrees, humidity is about 58%, and the heat index is 114. Not much of a surprise there. So as y'all have seen, I've been doing a lot of markets lately, and I feel like I have not been out to the bees in quite a while. So let's take a quick walk out to them and see how they're looking for another very hot July afternoon. So the markets have been good, no complaints. I'm learning as I go. I was gonna say some lessons have been learned pretty quickly by doing a few markets. Some are good, some are slow to start and then become good. But that's kind of the common theme is they've all been pretty darn good. So yeah, let's take a look. Got some decent flight activity. Let's walk around and see how the entrances are, see what they're looking like. And then, as I've said a few times and I keep putting it off, here in the somewhat near future, probably Sunday. I think I'm just gonna dedicate Sunday to this. I need to pull some supers and capture a little bit of a summer honey. And then I definitely need to start feeding. But yeah, kind of to be expected with the amount of bearding, but the flight activity is pretty nice. As usual, let's walk over to the swarm traps since they are right here. And let's see. Okay, also as usual, no activity. It's been a weird swarm season, that's for sure. There's quite a few bees on the ground that caught my eye, and it's kind of hard to see with how the sun is shining, so I might have to open up the electric fence and walk around. What is going on here? Yeah, let's walk around and get a closer look. So that's unusual. At least it's unusual to me. Usually I have some bees on the ground, but that seems like a decent amount, and it looks like they're up to something. So let's open up the gate, walk around, and see what we can determine, if anything. I'm gonna try and show this with y'all. Who knows if it's gonna actually come up on camera, but yeah, even over here, we have some bees on the ground. I'm looking at their wings. Their wings don't seem, nothing looks unusual, but I mean, I wasn't even looking at this part of the yard, but yeah, I mean, there's bees all over the ground here. I don't see any clusters. That's usually the first thing I look for out here since I started clipping all of the queen's wings. So I don't see any clusters. And I don't see any marked queens. That would be the other thing I'm looking for. But yeah, hopefully that comes up. There's just what I would consider an unusual amount of bees walking around on the ground. What's going on here? This little cluster. They're just hanging out. Okay. Well, that's kind of weird. All right, well, TBD. But again, this is why I keep going back to saying I definitely need to get into the hives. Like this one, look at this. I'd say that's a pretty decent cluster just hanging out, right? But yeah, no kidding. Nothing that looks like a queen at all, so why are they doing that, right? Alright, well, always something going on. Something that makes you go, Hey, if you're watching the video, not a clickbait or, you know, whatever you want to call it, but truly, if you know what that could be, by all means, please leave a comment or just message me through Instagram or Facebook. I am seriously curious what that could be, and some information to help y'all out. I treated them 4 times every 4 or 5 days in early to mid-July. So they've been recently treated. I highly doubt it's like anything that could be a mite infestation, but again, leave your comment and I'll reach back to you. But any help is appreciated. I don't know what would cause that many bees to be on the ground in front of the hives other than potentially the weather. All right, stay tuned. I may do a little more to close out the month, or I may not, but we'll see how the next few days go. All right, everybody, that does it for the late July video. Hopefully y'all liked it. If you're watching at this point, thank you. If you don't mind, please subscribe, hit the like button, do all the usual things folks mention, and stay tuned for August. My plan for very early August is to pull any remaining supers, which y'all saw previously. There's a few, not many, but there's a few, to include some full frames scattered throughout the other hives that don't necessarily have a full super. So my plan is to pull all remaining honey, let's just say that, all remaining capped and cured honey, to harvest it as a summer harvest, get the frames back into the hives and or the medium boxes, the supers, back on the hives as quickly as possible, and then finally start feeding. So for anybody that's watched the channel for a while, you will have noticed this is the latest I have ever started to feed the colonies. So what I usually do is I'll pull my supers, harvest the honey, get the supers back on the colonies, remove the queen excluders, and then immediately start feeding. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but I did exactly that last year in early June. And I was very surprised at how quickly the bees filled the supers with funny honey, the sugar water. But what I learned this year is there's a pretty high probability that it was a combination of sugar water, which obviously because I was feeding them, but also some natural resources, considering I harvested my honey at the very end of May, got the supers back on, left them alone for the month of June, and then checking in early and mid-July, the supers were a lot more full than I thought they would be. So you live and you learn. Point being, last year I probably left a lot of honey on the table or in the hives that I didn't harvest because I was very eager to feed, which is why I shifted gears and I did what I did this year, meaning harvesting like usual, end of May, supers back on, like I said just a few minutes ago, left them alone, checked on them, and I was thoroughly surprised at how much nectar the bees brought in and cured the honey in just the month of June. So there was a lot that was uncapped or possibly still wet, so I wanted to let it ride, especially with the temperatures that we have. So between the temperatures, the ambient temperatures, the temperatures inside the hives, the population of the hives that can still cure the honey, I left all of the honey on the hives this long in hopes that the bees and nature helped cure it and reduce the water moisture content to that of below 18%, which, just like back in May, I'll grab the refractometer, bring it out to the hives the next time I inspect them, which should be very early August. And again, just like before, if the honey is less than 18%, I plan to harvest it as well. All right, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Cole's Farm here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned and you will see what we are up to come August here very soon. All right, catch y'all then.